This is episode 42, and today we're talking about the automobile industry and the legal implications that deal with the automobile industry. Today we're talking about the car industry. In particular, when individuals go to these different car lots, they see all these cars, and it's like one day I may want to get into the car industry, but I don't necessarily know how to go about doing it. So from a legal perspective, you have to go through your own specific state and get licensed to be a car dealer. You may have to go to some classes, and then you have to get certified. You have to own like a plot of land and meet all the regulations that comes with being a car lot owner, or being a licensed dealer in that specific state. So once you meet that, then you'll start figuring out how can I put cars on my car lot, my dealership lot, and you'll get a floor plan loan, and that's pretty much just a line of credit. So the individual get this line of credit, and then they'll use that to start buying cars. And then once they sell that car, they'll take that money to pay off that loan, and ideally there'll be some profit between that, and you'll take the profit yourself and make money. And that's pretty much, in essence, from a very simple standpoint of how the car industry works. In a very simple standpoint. So the idea is that there are companies that are doing floor plans. It's called a floor plan line of credit. It can be from different companies, or it can be from different manufacturers. There are companies like Toyota, like Ford, like all these big companies, they have floor plans as well because they want to push their cars. So the idea is that if you want to get into luxury cars, start off potentially doing used luxury cars. You can do BMWs, Mercedes. It could be whatever you want to be, and it's important to understand that there's a contract involved with that. So you'll be signing a financing agreement, which is the type of agreement for the line of credit for the floor plan. So you'll be, when you're in the car dealership, you'll also be doing purchase agreements that you'll be doing. There'll also be there's many other types of contracts that you'll be doing. So the floor plan is pretty much like a financing agreement. It'll be that you'll get a floor plan, and then the company that gave you the floor plan line of credit will pay the manufacturer for all the cars, and the manufacturer will send you the cars, and then you'll start paying the bank or paying the company with the floor plan every single month, or whatever the agreement you have with the floor plan company. So that'll be the issue. So when you sell the car, you'll pay off the debt on that floor plan, and you keep the profit, and then you use that line of credit, that floor plan line of credit, to buy more cars and buy more cars and buy more cars. And by being a dealer, you also have access to different auctions that the public can't necessarily get to right away. And there may be separate dealer auctions that only people with a dealer's license can actually go to and buy those cars. So you have an advantage by just meeting the regulations and meeting the rules and meeting the laws, and make sure that you're compliant with the car industry. And then it's also important to know that you don't just have to sell in the U.S. You also can sell globally. You can ship cars globally. One of the benefits, at least from the U.S. perspective, is that we make a lot of cars. And there are a lot of good cars out here. There are a lot of good used cars out here. You can ship a lot of those cars to many places in what they call the third world, the developing countries. At least I know in Africa. I've been to Africa at least 5 times, and one of the cars that are in demand are Jeeps or SUV type cars, because the roads aren't necessarily the best. So you can ship those cars there and sell them at a premium because they need those cars. And all you have to do is you just find you someone who you can trust on that side. Like, pick a country you want to go there. You can actually meet either some dealers there, some car dealerships there, and figure out how you can ship things from here to there. Or you can meet a person that you trust. It can be a relative, it can be a family friend, it can be whoever it may be. You can meet someone there so you don't necessarily get swindled. Find somebody you trust. You can either go to the government. They have different investment initiative programs that they have. You can also meet one of the chiefs if you're trying to sell it in one of the local villages. Meet a chief, and the chiefs are trustworthy people. I've met chiefs in multiple countries. I've met chiefs in Sierra Leone, met them in Ghana, and at least from a legal standpoint, at least in Ghana, the chiefs, they have constitutional significance. The chiefs are in the Constitution of Ghana. They have constitutional significance. So that's important. So it's ways to go about it, how you can meet individuals that you can trust. You can potentially see there's a wholesaler, a person that buys cars, like a middleman, sell it to that person at a price, and then you can get your money out. And if you're also exporting, it's important to know about a legal entity called the IC disc. And that's important. That's a legal entity that allows you to potentially save money by exporting through this legal entity. So the IC disc is a legal entity that helps individuals save on their taxes, and it's done by converting ordinary income into qualified dividend income. So income that's ordinary income is taxed at a higher higher tax rate versus qualified dividend income. So it's very important to understand about how you go about it, because as they say, a penny saved is a penny earned. A legal entity that it'll be a C corporation, and then you create your C corporation, and then you also file the appropriate tax form, the tax ID form, and then they'll create your IC disc. And if you follow the proper guidelines of your IC disc, and you can potentially save on taxes by potentially exporting things to different countries. So you can buy your car here and then just export it. There are companies that you can contact that'll ship it from a port that's local to you. So you'll drive to the port, they'll come to wherever you're at, and they'll take it to the port, and then they'll ship it, and then they'll put it at the port there. And then someone from that country will potentially pick it up, and then they'll sell it there. Or there's many ways you can go about it. You can have a company here, and then have your foreign subsidiary there, and have the company in the U.S. be owned by the foreign subsidiary. So now you're having different legal maneuvers where you're protecting your liability. Because what happens at the subsidiary, the foreign subsidiary, isn't necessarily affecting you because you own the parent company. So that's one layer, that's another layer, and they have to get to all those layers to potentially get to your personal bank account. So there's many things you can go about it. You can either fill out yourself or talk to an attorney. But it's important to understand that you can get into the car industry. People are driving cars. People own multiple cars. In many ways, cars are somewhat of a status symbol, and you may not necessarily be able to start off at a Rolls Royce or things like that, but you can start off potentially selling used cars, and then potentially start selling used luxury cars, and then now you can start working with some of the bigger manufacturing brands, and then you can take your dream from just literally nothing to a reality. And there's many things you can do. So hope you all enjoyed this video. We talked about a lot. We talked about floor plan lending. We talked about exporting the IC disc. We talked about different tax implications. We talked about creating trust when it comes to building relations when it comes to business, because trust is everything. I read a book a while back called The Speed of Trust, and how they talked about just how it's profitable when there's trust in the business. When you're dealing with trust, things flow smoothly. You're not necessarily double checking things because you trust that it's going to be done. So things are done smoothly, these are done faster, and it makes the business more profitable. So there's many things we talked about in this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. This has been episode 42, and we're one step closer to 1,000 episodes. Thanks.
See, you want the fame and I want the time. We ain't got the same focus. I came in the game.